Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. That's always a good way to start. So today we're going to talk about a report that came out from Messari. And I was inundated with requests yesterday on Patreon and even today to cover that report, what it means for the chains, etc., etc. So this is the Ethereum versus Solana face-off. And remember, when we as investors look at certain assets, it's always about relative value, not necessarily the best or the worst, but, is a 99-cent hamburger better than a $200 steak? Who knows? I don't know. But a big shout out as well to Grimlock Official. Thank you for that. And also, I missed somebody else, Signal 103. So this is the Ethereum versus Solana face-off, the battle for blockchain supremacy. The question is, who will win? And of course, this is not financial advice. This is just a guy on the internet chatting away with you all. And of course, this key doesn't work. And if you want to amplify your intelligence, subscribe to the channel. Interesting times ahead. So the story, again, big report from Messari. The question is, what is better? So as usual, we take this in a very data-driven approach. We look at over 40 different parameters, including all of the data from Messari. And then we score them, and then we see what's better. Or maybe is one chain 40 times better? That'll be the interesting thing to solve at the end. So first of all, let's look at a comparison of the chains as we go forward. So here, we have TPS up to 65,000 transactions per second versus 15 for Ethereum. Average fee, a fraction of a penny. Ethereum is $15. Latency, less than half a second. 5 minutes for Ethereum. And etc., etc. Market cap, very, very different. Let's look. And this is just going to be a ton of information, real time, objective, so you can make your own decisions. That's all we do here. In addition, let's look at monthly active users. Pretty stunning chart by the team at Nansen. And you can see here the two biggest chains, one BNB, about 12.4 million monthly active users, and a very close second, Tron, another nearly 12.4 million monthly active users. Then in third place, you have 9.5 million monthly active users from Solana. And you can see Polygon, 4.8, beats out Ethereum, 4.7, the one in question. And they are kind of the top activity chains we see today. Again, it's just data. I make a lot of charts, but I didn't make this one. So let's talk about why do people use Solana? What do they like about it? Well, it's fast, it's decentralized and scalable. It's also cheap. In addition, it is the largest proof-of-stake blockchain by node count. You can see here there are 2,421 validators. Ethereum has 3,022. But the key here is the Nakamoto coefficient. I'll talk more about that later too. Nakamoto coefficient for Solana is 31 versus 20 for Ethereum. And that's all because a lot of the kind of stakers on Ethereum run through big pools, which would run through big AWS type operations. Now, this is the multi-billion-dollar question I've been trying to answer for years now. And that is, what is better? Enter Messari crypto here. So this is kind of what I call modular versus monolithic. Monolithic is one structure. Modular is a whole bunch of little building blocks to solve a whole bunch of different problems. So some people, including Messari, believe that modular design make it difficult to scale. But some people, including Messari, also believe that an integrated design offers advantages, both from a scalability and security perspective. So the question is whether Solana can meet the cost requirements of its customers to gain traction in the market. Hang on a second. I don't know where my key is. Yeah. All right. We're not even going to worry about the key. We'll just assume it doesn't work. But the key part of this chart here, ladies and gentlemen, is this. When we zoom in and look at a couple of elements that I highlighted, obviously, decentralization. Solana got dinged here by Messari with a score of just 3 out of 5, whereas decentralization got a much higher score for Ethereum, 4 out of 5. And also developer experience, Solana only got 4 out of 5, whereas the developer experience for Ethereum is 4.5 out of 5. Now remember, The crazy thing about this is if it wasn't for these two, Solana would have beaten on this particular parameter from Messari. But the issue is, what is more decentralized? If you go based on Nakamoto coefficient, Solana wins. If you look at developer experience, of course, Ethereum has a Lindy effect. It's been around for 8-9 years. Solana is new. It's very new. Also, the coding language is different. So that developer experience, I think it needs to be modified based on modifiers based on the Lindy effect. So let's jump into the other thing, Firedancer. Messari did bring this up, and they talked about unlocking the blue ocean, which refers to a strategic approach to create an uncontested market space and make the competition relevant. So Messari do believe that Firedancer could unlock the blue ocean opportunity and DeFi for Solana. And we'll talk more about that later too as we go forward. In addition, we did talk about this before, but this is with Firedancer, what it does for scalability. And current blockchains are limited in the types of applications that can be built on them. This is because they have very low throughput, i.e. the number of TPS, transactions per second, and high storage costs. So Solana has overcome these by scaling to over 1 million TPS, and this could really develop high throughput financial apps, just like stock exchanges, etc., and also run traditional consumer apps like social media. So this is the really exciting thing about Solana, and the fact that it runs so fast, it can have a wide breadth of applications as we go forward. Let's talk about another thing that Messari did bring up. Let's look at Solana state compression technology, and this allows users to store Web 2 scale user activity data on-chain by hashing things like NFT metadata into a Merkle tree. And this reduces the cost of storing NFT data, as users can append new data to the tree without having to store the entire tree on-chain. This is the compression magic that Solana have cracked the code on. And this means here, when you look at how they compare to other type of players, for example, AltLayer using Arbitrum, they have a huge advantage. And that is also extremely big for the Solana chain. In addition, another aspect they have that's quite unique, and this talks about local fee markets. On the left is Solana, on the right is Ethereum. You can see Ethereum helps deal with local fee markets using Optimism and Arbitrum. And Solana's local fee markets are a solution to scalability that challenge traditional blockchains, because what Solana does, they allow transactions to be processed in parallel and by pricing transactions based on the local state of the network. And Solana's local fee markets can help minimize congestion while maintaining composability of assets, which is also a unique feature. In addition, when we look at how some of this works together and the impact it's had on the market, Messari brought up Metaplex wallet activity and how it has skyrocketed. And what this basically means is the number of transactions and the amount of SOL being transferred in and out of Metaplex wallets has increased significantly. Now, there is a positive sign for the Solana ecosystem, as it indicates there's huge growing interest in Solana-based NFTs and also other DeFi applications. Now, Metaplex is a Solana-based protocol for creating and minting NFTs, auctions, visualizing them, etc. And it works with such collections like the Degen Ape Academy and the Aurori and so much more. But that explosive is quite telling. Again, this data is all from Messari, not from me. My data will come in a minute. This is also another view of that from the Solana NFT marketplace. This is Tensor. Now, what's incredible about this came from nothing earlier this year to 40% NFT market share domination, which is stunning. The fact that it has done this so fast. And this is a significant achievement for Tensor, and it shows that it's the leading NFT marketplace not only on Solana, but also competing with other ones like Magic Eden, OpenSea, etc., Solana Art, etc. So the growth is spectacular. Again, as I've always said, if you have the best solution, best user interface, cheapest prices, fastest transaction time, people will be very happy. Let's look at ecosystems real quick. How does Solana compare to Ethereum? So Ethereum, per Messari, is ahead of Solana in terms of liquidity, Decentralization, we talked about that earlier. I don't agree with that. Ecosystem activity, yes. And developer tools, yes. However, some might prefer Solana because they value other factors. So again, Messari don't seem to be focused on Nakamoto score, but variables indicating future potential, low cost performance, composability, which Solana excels in, by the way, may carry more weight than variables indicating current prospects, like decentralization and liquidity. So I highlighted the three that they scored very well on. And the question is, at the end of the day, what matters? And I believe those three are probably more important than, look at, for example, on the other side of the fence here, developer experience and liquidity. Yes, liquidity is very important for DeFi applications, but as things grow, that problem will solve itself. So let's talk about composability, because that's often misunderstood and how important it is in this space for blockchains, why it's crucial. So composability is crucial because it allows different blockchain applications to work together, and developers can save time and effort by reusing code and functionality from existing applications to build new ones, such as decentralized exchanges. Basically, the cloning of something to help people ramp up and build dApps fast. This not only speeds up development, but also enhances security and reliability. So it also helps increase innovation, of course, mentioned security, and interoperability. That's why when you have a lot of out-of-the-box capabilities that come with certain blockchains like wallets, etc., that are very slick and easy to use. And it is a powerful feature that really revolutionizes the application development. And again, at the end of the day, you want as much breadth of dApps as possible. And that brings customers in, users in, and makes it very sticky for them as well. Now, per Messari as well, this was a key sentence that they said towards the end of their report. And I copied their tweet here as well, that they tweeted out yesterday, 23 hours ago. Now, Solana's infrastructure surpasses competition in performance and cost. And with the potential for upcoming apps to fully utilize its high-performance infrastructure, Solana could dominate crypto. However, if they don't capitalize upon it, it risks fading into obscurity. And this is the whole risk we face here is, okay, what's it going to be? Is it going to become the new top layer one over time? Or is it going to fade into obscurity? And that's what we're trying to solve here today. Do they have the staying power? There was another key thing that the Messari report did bring up as well, and that was the key elements of the future. So through all the different cycles, crypto's application infrastructure changed. You know, back in 2008, it was just Bitcoin. And then Ethereum launched in 2015, 8 years ago. Then there were stable coins in 2015, 2016. Then there was like the first DEXs and DeFi, you know, Uniswap as a DEX and DeFi, Aave, etc. And then after that, wallets and oracles. But the key now here is where we are today. DePIN infrastructure is going to be critical. Liquid staking is going to be critical. State compression is going to be critical. I'll talk about eigenlayers in a second. And FireDancer, what that could unlock. And the question is, I added little green arrows as to where Solana plays, and this will have a huge impact as well on their potential future. Now, I hear you ask, what is an eigenlayer? This one is interesting, and this is all tied around liquid staking. So an eigenlayer is a protocol that allows users to restake their liquid staking tokens, sometimes they're called LSTs, for example, on an ETH network, and secure them in other applications on, say, a Solana network. And this allows users to earn additional rewards while also contributing to the security of the Solana network. Now, this is a new thing that is going to be key to a lot of elements of DeFi, etc. going forward. And of course, cross-chain will also be critical for both. Now, we're going to go to my data and make sure everybody can hear me still. Hey, Bill, how are you? This is what I call the IA engine and how we use it. So we're going to take all of the stuff we just covered from Messari, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper and look at about another 30 to 40 different parameters and see how they score up over time. So first of all, let's talk about distance from all-time high and the chance. People always ask, could Ethereum get back to an all-time high? Could Bitcoin get back to an all-time high? Some people doubt it. Of course it can, and it will as adoption happens. But can Solana too? So you can see here that Solana is still 94% off its all-time high. In fact, it's a very low price right now, whereas Ethereum is only 62% off its all-time high. So you could look at this two ways. One is Ethereum is holding up better, or Solana got way more black eyes than Ethereum did over the last cycle. And of course, being deemed a security by the SEC didn't help things. Cardano, Solana, Matic, and 63 others. Again, that doesn't help. Let's look at Sol versus ETH technology capability. So here we have block time is basically less than a second. Block time for Ethereum, 12 seconds. Time to finality is, some say, less than 0.4 seconds, but we put in 2 seconds here. On average, Ethereum is about 6 minutes and 24 seconds. And of course, theoretical max transactions per second, 1.2 million, which they showcased in November 2022 in the Netherlands, I think it was. And the theoretical max TPS is 15. So that's kind of where we are with some technology elements. We're going to go into a lot more data, so watch out. And we'll summarize all these afterwards too. This is market cap over daily active users. If you calculate the value of each daily active user on the chain, and here you have Solana's 18,000 per user, and Ethereum is $683,000 per user. Obviously, you want this number to be low. The lower the better. You don't want a chain that has $1 million per daily active user, because that means, in my opinion, it's very overvalued. Now, let's look at weekly core developers. So Solana has 242. Ethereum has 360 weekly core developers. So Ethereum win that one. They have more devs, but they've been around longer too. So you could argue that's a thing. Now let's look at market cap per developers, another ratio I like to look at. Here it's 1.6 million for Solana and 15 million for Ethereum. Obviously, the lower the better. The more developers, the more value they bring to the actual chain. And again, it can either highlight the future potential or the undervaluation or overvaluation of an actual chain too. Nakamoto coefficient, I did say we'll come back to this. Here it is 33 for Solana and 20 for Ethereum. Again, this is probably the most scientific measure of decentralization for chains. And again, Solana beats Ethereum. So, and that changed ever since they moved to proof of stake. Before, when it was proof of work, Ethereum was more decentralized. Let's talk about market cap divided by daily fees. These are the daily fees per chain. If we take the market cap divided by how much they pull in every day, it's $184,000. And for Ethereum, it's $62,000. If we look at why, ETH does 100 times more in fees than Solana. So ETH brings in about $3.5 million in fees every day. Solana only brings in $35,000. Well, that's a big difference, 100x. Well, let's break that down a little bit more. Why? This is why. The average fee per transaction is a fraction of a penny. And for Ethereum, it's about $3.59 per transaction. And that's the big kicker here. If Solana was charging the same amount per Ethereum, it wouldn't be as widely adopted. And that's the magic sauce here. The question is, what will work over time? In addition, the fee structure has changed for Solana. They now have priority fee, which is about 3.2x the original fee, but it's still very, very small. And again, instead of 0.0001 of $1, it's 0.00037 of $1. Again, about 3.2x. And you can see the comparison here in this chart of the Solana priority fee to Polygon. Obviously, Polygon's a lot more, but Polygon's still a hell of a lot cheaper than Ethereum. So just to give you some perspective there as to how these things shake out. Also, let's look at TVL. Solana sucks at TVL ever since the black eyes happened with FTX, etc. Dog, I appreciate you. But the TVL for Ethereum is 26 billion. And the TVL for Solana is about 250 million. So again, huge delta there between the two. Stablecoin market cap, 69 billion versus 1.5 billion. So again, Ethereum is the 800-pound gorilla in this regard, and it does dominate. Let's look at two charts before we go to some composite scores. Let's look at the Sol ETH year-to-date chart. You can see Solana was rebounding, was up quite a bit, and then bang, bang, bang. It's just been bleeding against ETH ever since, and we are now actually still higher than where we were at the beginning of the year, but it has not been doing well. The green line, by the way, is the 50-day moving average, and the red is the 200-day moving average. So this pair is not looking good. Let's switch it up. Let's turn this pair over. Year to date, this is the ETH over Sol. Year to date, and you see it's about 114 Solana per Ethereum. And that's a lot. And that's come up from about 80, where is it? 84, 64, back in the beginning of the year. Again, it changed. But this is the super interesting thing to look at this pair. And again, this chart is way above the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. And we will see that develop over time. So no video would be complete without the FUD department. So there's a lot of fear, uncertainty. There are a lot of haters of both Ethereum. There's a lot of haters of Solana. And the one we hear most about is, oh, it's always down. So this is FUD time. This is the outage time for Solana since summer 2022, basically a year in history. And yes, it hasn't been good. That session at the end of September that bled into the beginning of October, that's actually one event. It looks like two here. It's just one. And then, of course, in Feb, we had a little outage as well, which was kind of bad. But since then, it's been clean. And the key thing to note here is it's still up 99.8% of the time, but no outage is forgivable, and that is a true fact as well. In addition, we have a lot of people that are just, attacking the chain. This is from Lightspeed Mert, and he talks about some guy. I'm not going to give oxygen to the guy that kind of tweets the same thing 7 times a week, every single day. But there are a lot of negative posts out there. And what another individual, this is just from today, by the way. I just looked on Twitter for Solana FUD, and this is from Vinny 13 hours ago. He said we should get more Solana supporters into the community notes because there are a lot of bad actors spreading blatant lies and FUD about Solana, and I'm sure you've read it all. But the problem is sometimes people actually believe it and they make decisions. So let's jump into our conclusion. It's my favorite part, is looking at data and then scoring things, and then adding up the scores. That's how I make decisions, to make sure there's no emotion in this. These next 3 or 4 slides will be super interesting. So first of all, let's look at 30 parameters and see how they score. So here you can see modular versus monolithic. The jury's out. We don't know who's going to win, so I gave both a point. Then speed. Obviously, Solana's faster. Fees. Solana's cheaper. Latency. Solana's better. Monthly active users, Solana's better. DApp breadth, Solana is better. Despite the fact that Ethereum has more dApps, Solana has more breadth of dApps as well. Deployments, Ethereum wins. Nakamoto coefficient, Solana wins. And on and on. You can read through these. If you see a red bar, Solana wins. If you see red and blue, they both got a point. And blue is where Ethereum wins. For example, uptime, Ethereum crushes it. Liquid staking, Ethereum crushes it. Devs, Ethereum beats Solana. Market cap over fees. Again, depending on how you look at that one. If it's good to earn more fees, yes, you could say it's good. Having less fees, though, is also better. So it depends how you skin that one. And TVL, Ethereum wins it. So from all of this, though, when you add up the scores across the 30 parameters, Ethereum scores 8. Solana scores 23. And again, it's objective, it's data. In addition, the way we score smart contract platforms, again, we do everything with data here. This is the overall score of Sol versus ETH. We look at the technology score. Of course, Solana technology is newer, better, faster, etc. Developer score, Ethereum wins. Adoption score, considering its size, Solana wins. And growth opportunity score, considering the size of the world and scale, and for mass adoption of 1 billion users, you can't charge $3.50 or $15 a transaction. That's just not going to fly. Therefore, the growth opportunity is also high. Overall, the final score from our smart contract platform profiler is Solana wins in blue at a score of about 7.6 versus 6.2 for Ethereum. So there is one more thing I do want to look at and hammer home again. This is what Messari said. Okay, their words, not mine, verbatim. And this goes back to unlocking the blue ocean. Messari said, Solana could dominate crypto. Okay, with this blue ocean technology. And that is a big statement. And finally, this is probably the most important thing, and that's kind of what I look at, but I allocate based on risk. Okay? If I allocate it based on what I just saw in this deck, I'd YOLO into Solana. But the question is, and the question you all have to answer yourselves, is ETH 40x more valuable than Solana? The market cap is 40x larger. And if you include all the layer 2s, like Optimism, Matic, Arbitrum, etc., it's a lot more. It's like 50x larger. So the question is, based on all the data you've seen, does it make sense? And my take is, again, my ETH position is 4 times larger than my Solana position, and my Bitcoin position is 4 times larger than my ETH position. Gives you an idea of how I structure things. But if this thing can stay afloat, and if there is no Sol killer to come out better, cheaper, faster, and scale more, and have more dApps, then based on this data, Ethereum could have a challenger ahead. Just like Messari said, their words, Solana could dominate crypto if they can stay alive. So for everybody in Patreon that asked for this, I hope it answered your questions. And just ask yourself, is Ethereum 40x better? Because it has 40x to market cap. And I think the future will be very simple. You're going to have a consumer chain that also runs big businesses like stock exchanges, etc. And you will have Ethereum as the big, heavy chain that does big, heavy transactions. Not unlike kind of Bitcoin. So either way, all the black eyes between FTX, SEC, outages, Solana's still there. It's still standing. But the data, this data here, you cannot deny. All right? So that's how we look at chains. So if you guys want me to do another chain comparison, let me know below. We've got all the data and we can do it very easily. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to everyone on Patreon. Sorry about it being a bit of a long one, but a lot of stuff to get through. And to near 2,000 people here live, thank you for joining. Thank you to the mods in the chat. Thank you to all the usual suspects. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.